So this is my Lego robot car. So we have a few different buttons that I was going to show you. We have forward and reverse, which is these two, and then we have 3 different buttons over here. Each one has a different resistor connected to it, so allowing different amounts of current per one I choose. So it's kind of like a gearbox where one will be a little bit faster, one will be a little bit faster, and then the fastest one. I also have this CDS cell. These are kind of like a daylight sensor. So when you have your automatic lights turn on in your car, you know, you have your headlights and your tail lights. Whenever you cover this, these lights come on, and then uncover it, of course, they go off. So this is just kind of like, it's kind of more like a car. If I had if I had a solder at my house, I was gonna solder these to these little fronts and then put these on the back to make them look like actual headlights of this car. We have the motor. It is connected through this little gearbox I made with a few different gears. I'll show you a little bit more about that later. But there's just a connection all the way through. This will go to a gearbox that spins these back wheels, and it has a variable change with these buttons. So I'm just gonna go ahead and demonstrate. One sec. What is it? This one to go with it. I don't know why it's not going. Is it because it's on the ground? There it goes. So there's forward. And then I gotta help reset the gear. Sometimes they get a little stuck because they're just Legos. Yeah, there's reverse. Okay. So, I mean, that's pretty much the functionality of it. Realistically, there's not a lot on here. But, so I have 2 battery packs to help with the current. The current has the biggest part of it, because with just 1 battery pack, you don't have enough current for the motor to move the car as quickly as you can. So you put 2 in parallel to increase the current capabilities. It doesn't really increase the current, but it just allows your system to take more current as it can use more batteries. Let's try to show you here. So there's different gears here. I did a little bit of research on gears and figured out that you want to go from small. Well, this is what is our motor's connected to right here. If you go from this smallest gear to this little bit of a bigger one, and then to 2 bigger ones, the 2 bigger gears, so what it does is, going from small to big, is you increase your torque to your axle, which is our axle is being driven by the motor. I mean, this is our driven axle, and this is our driven from our motor. This is our output axle, which is like the driven. It's where our power is going to. Whenever you have that, you have a trade-off between torque and speed, and I opted for torque in this situation because the motor only can put out so much torque on its own. So I decided to make small to big gear ratio, which allows for your torque to be higher and your speed to be a little bit slower. But also having the 2 battery packs increases your current. So the speed wasn't necessarily the issue. I was running into an issue of torque, not being able to actually turn the wheels. So I had to do a bit of redesigning on that. I don't know the exact gear ratio from this gearbox, but I did a really small one. You can barely see it here. That little gray one, and then it goes to the medium black one, and then these 2 black ones in the back that are bigger. These are driving the axle. I mean, it's not super complicated, but it's pretty close to what I described in the abstract. The main difference is the potentiometer I had a plan for. I had to replace the idea because I didn't have a potentiometer that had a small enough resistance, or at least a controllable resistance in that small. So I opted for this little push button system. So this one will have a higher resistance. It's like a 3 ohm or something like that. And then this one has like a 2, and this one has a 1. So whenever you press a different button, it's going to use a different resistance to allow a different amount of current through the motor. Basically just changing the speed of it by limiting the current to a certain threshold. I just have my little H bridge here, and then with these 2 buttons, you have forward and reverse, and then if you hold both of them down, it's at a braking mode. And then this is just my battery packs. This little MOSFET or BJT circuit that was for the CDS cell that turns these on, just like the headlights in the night type thing. And I mean, that's pretty much it. I built all the frame from just spare pieces that I found in the lab. And the wheels I had to take off another Lego set, but it's just because I had to have bigger wheels than the ones that were in the bag. Everything else I built from scratch. There's not much design here for it, but thought it did pretty good. All right, thank you.